The world of man invades and grows by its nature, but every once in a while, we decide to evade and protect. For millions of years, entire regions of the North American continent have been shaped by a massive phenomenon, which beautifully sculpts the land as it moves into valleys, lakes, and mountains. For this phenomenon is not just a place, but a completely different world. A world that would forever be known as Yellowstone. A region of harmony, a harbor for wildlife. Its incredible and unique landscapes captivate audiences from all ends of the earth. But its apparent peaceful paradise can be deceiving. "40 kilometers below the surface lies a natural geologic oven. It is a hotspot, a supervolcano. Magnificent explosions of boiling water shoot high into the sky day and night in this active caldera. The magma sleeps and stirs below ground, but the supervolcano is alive in many more ways than one. Tucked in the corner of northwestern Wyoming, on the borders of Montana and Idaho, lies a monstrous supervolcano. A supervolcano that outlined a new era of conservation: the National Park System. Yellowstone eventually set the precedent of every national park in existence. Two aspects, the land and the hosts, which are heavily intertwined, dictate Yellowstone's special nature. We will start in the little town of Gardner, Montana, which holds the north entrance to the park. The north entrance lies at the end of Paradise Valley, a steep canyon bordered by the Gallatin and Absaroka Ranges. It is one of the easiest and most popular entry points to the park. Even before entering the imaginary border of the park, wildlife such as elk and pronghorns graze on the grass around them. In Yellowstone, the geography swiftly shifts. Driving on a new, high, windy road, the contrast between the sandstone gorges and the towering mountains is even more visible. This looks like a land of paradise. Who would even think that this landscape is on the edge of a massive caldera filled with a violent past? As the elevation steadily climbs, you will see changes in the land and the stories that it tells. The Silver Gate of the Hoodoos is a climber's dream if they even know about it. For those curious enough to pull into the tiny hidden parking spot, this is just the beginning. There is a peculiar tale among the boulders, one that demonstrates the dynamic nature of Yellowstone. For this, we must go back to a nearby and very well-known formation in Yellowstone. The beautiful and delicate terraces of Mammoth Hot Springs have been formed over hundreds of thousands of years, and they continue to grow and change. The white walls of the terraces are made of travertine, which is formed when calcium carbonate in the water is deposited. It quickly sticks together and grows over time, creating new pools of hot water and new ways for the water to flow. This constant evolution renders some terraces obsolete, effectively leaving them to dry and erode. This is where the Hoodoos' story continues. The Hoodoos used to be a terrace formation of Mammoth Hot Springs, sitting high above the valley on the aptly named Terrace Mountain. But then it became dormant, and the hot springs found new cracks and caverns to flow through. Then around 15,000 years ago, a landslide swept the terraces down the mountainside, creating the boulder field we see today. The travertine has since solidified, making the boulders a great and challenging place for the few who enjoy climbing in the wilderness. It is also home to more than just boulders. It is home to many diverse bushes and flowers that find refuge among the rocks. This is the beginning of the great cycles of Yellowstone. Now that the mystery of the Hoodoos and Mammoth have been revealed, it is now time to ask another question. Where is the water to the terraces coming from? The answer lies to the south, in an area much more violent and sinister than Mammoth Hot Springs and the Hoodoos. The source of the water that fuels the formation of the terraces is the Norris Geyser Basin. A seemingly desolate place that appears to be a dragon's land. There is so much more about this place in particular that is so intriguing. It is by far the most dynamic, most toxic, and most unpredictable basin in the entire Yellowstone area. Home to old dwellers like Aquinas Geyser, known for its legendary acidic explosions. Or the amazing throne of the Green Dragon Hot Springs. No matter where you walk in this extremely dangerous land, an unsettling and bipolar feeling can be evident. And with its visibly evil nature, there's a thick silver lining of beauty that makes one want to just take it all in, again and again. But this does not even scratch the surface of this basin. Another part to this intricate creation exists, a more colorful side that just feels extraterrestrial. On this side of Norris, more specifically named Porcelain Basin, water pours out of natural pots scattered across the area. Steam comes from every little crack in the earth. But the oddity of the saturated streams and vibrant landscape are caused by something spectacular. A marvel of Mother Nature that really expresses that anything can be possible. The color you see is life. Even in boiling water, organisms vibrantly thrive. Millions upon millions of diverse populations of microorganisms paint a beautiful picture of their own contained ecosystem. However, Norris Basin is not the only example of microorganisms, nor is it the largest. The Midway Geyser Basin is a place of extremes. Its sheer volume sets it apart from all other places in the park. While it only contains 4 main thermal features, 2 of them in particular really carry the image of Yellowstone. Excelsior, once a geyser, was the largest of its kind, but it failed in the early 20th century before Yellowstone was a popular destination. It now calmly bubbles across the boardwalk from an amazing prismatic pool like none other. The Grand Prismatic Spring is the largest hot spring in the United States and is the 3rd largest in the entire world. Putting out 2,100 liters of extremely mineralized water per minute, it is the perfect habitat for some of the most elaborate microbial mats in existence. These are your hosts in a land stuck between heaven and hell. The variant colors of a microbial mat are determined by many factors. Yellowstone has many more diverse examples of these microorganisms. One key factor to the color and extent of these mats is the mineral content in the water discharged from geysers and hot springs. Volcanic mechanisms underground also determine types and quantity of the minerals in the water at any given time in any given location. This means that, much like trees in autumn, the mats will change color due to a change in water temperature or mineral content. They have seasons. These beautiful microbial ecosystems are so amazing that they have helped investigators solve crimes, and their existence is what makes most believe that extraterrestrial microbial life is almost certain to be on other planets or moons in our own solar system. But microbial life, while resilient to extreme temperatures, is incredibly fragile. This was a discovery at the end of a tragic tale of carelessness. Yellowstone Lake, the largest high-elevation lake in North America, lies at the heart of the caldera. And it witnessed the last great eruption of Yellowstone. 160,000 years ago, the supervolcano let out a burst of magma that drastically changed the land and expanded the lake, creating the West Thumb. The new fissures from the eruption birthed many young geysers and hot springs, quickly creating a new habitat teeming with microbial life. But the thermal basin's accessible location led to the downfall of possibly the most colorful life of Yellowstone. And while there's still microorganisms in the West Thumb, it may never recover from its tragic past. The first white visitors here used all of the resources available, such as the boiling water in the now destroyed fishing cone, to cook their freshly caught fish. This accessibility attracted everyone, and soon a campground was opened immediately next to West Thumb Geyser Basin. Uneducated visitors would take calcite from the geyser cones, pollute the water in hot springs, and touch the beautiful colors in the stream beds. Little did they know they were destroying the most precious host. The oils in our skin are incredibly harmful to the microorganisms, turning them into dead, colorless mush that rots away. After a new developed area a few miles away opened, the campground was closed. But the damage had already been done. West Thumb is now scarred, perhaps forever. But there is always hope. Some of the more mineralized pools in the basin have seen a beautiful resurgence of microbial mats. They continue to spread and grow. West Thumb's geysers have also suffered, but not all of the basin's suffering has been caused by human interaction. Many of these geysers were quickly created after the West Thumb eruption, and weren't as stable as others around the park. On top of this, the infamous 1959 Hebgen Lake earthquake caused many disruptions in the park, including damaging several geysers. Yellowstone's land is fluid. It changes, and is meant to change. While microbial life is an important part of Yellowstone's ecosystem, they are not the only ones that call this world home. Chipmunks frequent many areas and are easily the most approachable little creatures. However, it is crucial to remember that they too lay infinitely more claim to this world than the millions of human travelers who gaze upon its glory. They are the hosts, and they are not alone. The most famous of the wildlife one is likely to encounter here are the bison, whose prestige characterizes Yellowstone. Beautiful, preserved, but far more dangerous than one could imagine. These one-ton beasts make it known that they are the kings and queens of this world. At least one person each year is charged and gored by a bison, sometimes fatally. They are not afraid of us. But if people mind their own business, so do the bison. They often graze in many of the flats created by the Yellowstone caldera, areas in which they feel safe. These flats are the perfect spaces for us to experience the harmony of Yellowstone. Over to the east lies Hayden Valley, one of the most outstanding wildlife habitats, home to bison and many other animals that hold royal status. But the monarchy is often challenged in this world. Grizzly bears usually find food in the form of berries or fish, but an opportunity for the kill of a lifetime never escapes their mind. If this grizzly takes down this elk, it will be an individual above all in the park. And just like that, this bear is now king. But the job is far from over. Now this bear must protect his title This isn't any grizzly bear either. It is one of the largest bears in the park and is tracked by the National Park Service under an assigned number, 791. Grizzly 791, like any grizzly bear would, must protect his achievement from others who might want to snatch a bit of glory. Even other grizzly bears. Unfortunately, 791 had to leave, and another bear claimed the carcass. He now scavenges for bits left from the dug-up cache, while the other grizzly, number 118, guards his steel. Even with this defeat, 791 has a reputation that precedes him, and remains one of the most recognizable individuals in Yellowstone. It's important to always stay away from these majestic hosts. Winter comes early in Yellowstone. It brings an end and a beginning to this beautiful and dynamic world. Winter here is dynamic itself. In Lamar Valley, wildlife continues to thrive in the cold. While rarely seen, this is the home of the wolves. They hide in the shadows, evading the one predator that once tore them completely from this world: humans. But now the wolves are safe and cautious, choosing when to go out and when to stay in the den. This cycle of the wildlife continues over and over again. It carries the park forward. But this seasonal process moves in tandem with another cycle we have seen. The cycle of the land. Old Faithful is among the most popular geysers in the park. However, for locals, it has become a place to almost avoid. Old Faithful is spectacular, but its true magic has worn out. After the earthquake in 1959, the eruptions of Old Faithful are no longer that faithful, but are found using a mathematical equation. The beautiful noise of the geyser is drowned out by the hundreds of people who watch it every day. But this does not mean there is no longer a time where you can watch this geyser alone. Under the stars, Old Faithful sits all alone. Most visitors don't want the inconvenience of sitting in the cold in the middle of the night to actually experience the geyser in all of its majesty. This is the best way to make Old Faithful worth it. Its local fame has diminished. However, Old Faithful is undoubtedly the foundation of our understanding of geysers. Geysers are uniquely crafted by naturally made chambers, which cause a diverse set of reactions throughout Yellowstone's geysers. In the Fountain Flats, many dynamic geysers are shadowed by more conspicuous formations, such as the well-known fountain paint pots. But some spouts never stop begging for attention. Clepsydra Geyser is one in a group of connected geysers that perform in tandem. Spasm Geyser sits in front, ironically dwarfed by her sister's boasting fountain dance, which started after the 1959 earthquake stimulated Clepsydra Geyser into nearly constant eruption. Yellowstone's multiple cycles of life converge, a fact that becomes more obvious the longer you travel throughout this world. But in some places, it is more apparent. The Firehole area exemplifies this convergence. A habitat teeming with thermal files, rich with food for hosts like bison and elk, and a thermal basin bursting with newly formed geysers and vents. Firehole Lake, a large and growing hot spring, overflows down the hillside with enriched mineralized water, supplying tiny geysers with endless eruptions. The hot cascades present a diverse array of microbial mats. This thermal spot provides water to most of the lower geyser basin and manipulates the land in countless ways. Not far from here is the ultimate showcase of Yellowstone, a formation that shows the convergence of the land and the hosts, and whose anticipated grandeur rivals Old Faithful. It's a timeless bomb, gaining pressure by the minute. Its variability and unpredictability makes it more uncommon to see. Each eruption adds minerals to the walls of the numerous pools, which have enriched microbial mats for centuries. Before its eruptions, the Great Fountain begins visibly boiling. Then works its way to what seems like the climax. But it has only just begun. With a maximum height of 220 feet, the Great Fountain Geyser is by far the most elaborate, spectacular, and stunning geyser in Yellowstone. In a clockwork sequence of events, the Great Fountain erupts precisely the same every time. "40 minutes of violent fountain bursts, followed by 8 minutes of calm and silence. But even then, the Great Fountain isn't finished. It continues to erupt for another half hour as each burst slowly dials down in intensity. Each time this convergent cycle ends, it begins again. Yellowstone will continue to do this for as long as it lasts, paving a path through the mountains of North America and providing a place of harmony for all that call it home. Yellowstone is expected to stay dormant for the next few million years at least. By then, we will probably be gone. For now, it rests, giving sanctuary to the most diverse ecosystem on the continent. People come from all over the world to see this park for various reasons, but many of these visitors come and go without understanding the most crucial part of Yellowstone. Most people see this as a zoo, a lens into a world that once was. But it is a view into a world that is. A world that involves both life and death, with intertwined stories of unique, ever-changing land and hosts beyond imagination. This is Yellowstone.